Sonic Racing Crossworlds came out quite a while ago. I tried the demo on PS5. I didn't buy the game when it launched, but I got it on Black Friday because it was $30 and I knew a Switch 2 update was coming. I got the Switch 2 update. It was only $5 in the eShop. After putting my Switch OG version into my Switch 2, it was an option available in the eShop. I've had a lot of friends talk and discuss and review this game, and I was like, you know what? It's my turn. And simply put, I'm going to say one sentence here. Sonic Racing Crossworlds on the Nintendo Switch 2 might be the biggest surprise upgrade I've played all year. We're going to get into that because that's saying something, guys. On the original Switch, this game was rough. Not it's just a Switch game rough, but genuinely, why did Sega even release this rough? Everybody was saying avoid the Switch OG version. On the Switch OG, Crossworlds was basically a technical disaster. Apparently, the resolution was blurry. It was at an unstable 30 FPS. The textures looked like they were smudged onto screen with a crayon, and it was overall just a messy experience. So I avoided it. And the frustrating part of this, on PS5, Xbox, and PC, the game looked fantastic. I played this on the PS5 demo. Thought it looked great. I had a lot of fun with it. Meanwhile, the Switch 1 version felt like you bought a Temu version of the same exact game or something that you might buy from an alley behind a GameStop. I stole that line from somebody else, RGT85. Shout outs to them. So naturally, when I picked up this game again, I was like, you know what? We're going to get the Switch OG version solely because it's on sale and I want to check out the Nintendo Switch 2 version, even though it was a upgrade path that you had to pay $10 for. They coincidentally had a $5 discount and I was able to get the Switch 2 version for $5. And you know what? That's straight up my fucking go-to right there. A discount, something that you could check out, and the game was already on sale. I crossed my fingers hoping Sega didn't just slap a patch on the Switch OG version and call it a day, guys. And I'm proud to say they didn't. They rebuilt this thing into an actual next-gen experience. But before we get to performance, guys, here's why this game is worth talking about in the first place. Sonic Racing Crossworlds is actually a great racer, guys. Sonic Racing Crossworlds, say that 5 times fast, isn't just trying to be Sega's version of Mario Kart, guys. It's not a clone. It's not a budget attempt. And it's not a nostalgia cash-in. It's actually a game that has its own identity, believe it or not. And the more time that you put into it, the more it becomes clear that Sega was swinging for something different here. Something more dynamic, like dynamic broadcasting. Zenither, shout outs to anybody that knows that reference. It was more unpredictable and honestly more strategic than a lot of the mainstream kart racers out right now, like Nickelodeon racers and other things like that. The biggest hook is the Crossworld mechanic, and it completely changes the flow of every race in this game. Instead of memorizing a single track layout, mastering the same turns over and over like other kart racers, including Mario Kart, Crossworlds throws in this dimensional shift mechanic about 1/3 into the race. And the moment the worlds tear open, you get thrown into a brand new environment with new hazards, new shortcuts, new physics, and I guess environmental hazards and stuff like that, like I mentioned. So every race becomes a little story, guys. You get the normal track, the Crossworld track, and then the final sprint in a totally different biome. And the cool part about it is you can leave the Crossworld section on random. That means if you're the type who gets bored completely easy when kart racers feel the same after a while, hello Mario Kart World, that was one of the main problems I had. After a while, it started to feel the same, even with their open world aspect. Crossworlds basically guarantees that the chaos stays fresh, guys. You're not forced to memorize these boring track layouts that you play over and over. You're forced to react because it could be different each and every time, guys. There's also a deeper customization system than people expect. Usually when you think of Sega Sonic Racing, you think it's going to be like, again, a lame clone of Mario Kart. Well, the vehicle system is shockingly robust. We're talking robust urban garlic flavor here. Dark Side Phil would be pleased with it. This isn't just a change the color and call a day type of mechanic here, guys. Every part that you unlock affects the handling, the acceleration, the top speed, the item efficiency, the drifting, the off-road resistance, guys. So it feels more like a light, and I do mean light, RPG system wrapped inside of a kart racer. You're not just collecting gear, you're literally able to tailor your build, guys. Do you want a boost heavy setup? Do you want a tanky drift focus setup? Or something that punishes your rivals hard? Well, you can build it. If you build it, they will come, guys. And cosmetically, there's so many ways to make your kart look like your kart. There's decals, there's body shapes, tires, wings, and themed kits tied to different Sonic universes here. So there's a variety here. That this is the kind of depth that keeps players actually grinding, not because they're forced, but because unlocking new gear actually changes how the game looks and feels, guys. And there's a progression loop here that actually rewards you. That's most important. It doesn't just feel like, again, like a slog or a grind. You're collecting red coins that are scattered throughout the various stages. It's almost like the red coins in a Mario platformer game that you have in each stage. These are used to unlock gear and cosmetics. There's also rings, obviously. Sonic the Hedgehog gets rings. These are for speed and performance boost during races. But here's what makes it addicting, guys. Every race contributes to something, okay? You're always unlocking new parts, new paint jobs, new challenges, new songs, new cosmetics, you name it. And there's some great tunes in here, which we'll get into that, guys, like the Persona 5 OST and stuff like that. It taps into the same dopamine loop that makes games like Rocket League or Splatoon so hard to put down, because there's always something being unlocked. Call of Duty even does it, even though Call of Duty is getting its own fair share of criticism and backlash now. It has that feeling where you're getting something each time you play. This is the rare racing game where you finish a race and you immediately think to yourself, all right, let's do one more. I just need one more run to unlock this next thing. Not many games can get you like that. And luckily enough, it's not microtransaction heavy. There is Battle Pass or Season Pass. There is unlockable DLC like Pac-Man and other characters like that coming up. But there's also stuff that you can unlock in the game, including characters that you can unlock. There are online modes that don't exactly feel like an afterthought. Crossroads actually takes the online mode pretty seriously. You'll get ranked play, cross-platform matchmaking. That's a big one right there. I had a lot of friends recently want me to hop on this game. I haven't played with them yet. Hypnotic, I'm looking at you. But there is cross-platform. They play this on Steam. I have this on the Switch too. So we're able to play with each other. There's also seasonal like challenges and events. I think there's one about to happen here not too long. There's daily missions. There's leaderboards. So there's a lot of stuff to sink your teeth into right here. And because of the cross-world mechanic, like I said, no online race ever feels predictable. Every match has this anything can happen type of energy that keeps the ranked mode from getting stale. Mario Kart got stale real quick, guys, because I played the fuck out of that like the first 2-3 weeks that came out. This has enough change and enough surprises for just the Crossworlds mechanic alone that it at least changes things up a little bit. The fact that you can also hop between Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC players is huge. I think a lot of games, especially third-party games, need to adopt that cross-play, cross-platform type of feature. That way that everybody can play with each other regardless of what console you're on. To think that online play in 2025 is still locked on some consoles, that's weird. Cross-play it, cross-platform it. Let people experience it, guys. It means a multiplayer community actually has legs. It won't die in 2 months. Imagine if these games were just stuck where Switch 2 players could only play with Switch 2 players. That's not a world I want to live in. Now, I will say this. I am a little let down that there's not a battle mode. I don't think Sonic racing games are really well known for battle modes. But if you're going to be a kart racer that is touted, and a lot of times people were saying this was the Mario Kart World killer, I'm not going to jump into that debate because that is a very divisive debate. I like to think that both of these games are different. They stand on their own ground. I don't want to compare either to the either, but it would be nice to have had a battle mode at least, like a good battle mode where you can use weapons and attack each other in an arena type environment. That's not on the online. That's not in any kind of multiplayer feature on here. I would have liked that. But there is a surprising amount of content on Sonic Racing Crossworlds, guys. And this is why Crossworlds deserves some more respect. Rodney Dangerfield style. No respect. No respect. This game ships with a full campaign. That's nice in a racer, especially a kart racer. There's already dozens of characters. There's a ton of fan service tracks, which is always nice. And the tracks actually themselves, the layouts of them, they're interesting. I think they have a lot of stuff, a lot of shortcuts, a lot of interesting backgrounds and stuff going on that it's not boring. It doesn't look plain Jane, and it's very colorful. There's boatloads of unlockables, like I said. You're grinding XP for your gear mechanics and stuff like that, and unlocking and getting your gear system. The cross-platform online, again, like I said, it's a nice touch. There's challenge missions, time trials, themed event races, a roadmap of free updates. They got a roadmap. You know, it doesn't seem like they're flying by the seat of their pants. And there is paid DLC, like I said, but that's optional. It's not mandatory. It doesn't come across as microtransaction. This isn't a small budget spin-off. It's a fully realized Sonic Racing universe. And that's nice to see, especially because Sonic the Hedgehog, I feel, is an underappreciated universe. For me, the fandom kind of screws things up a little bit with, you know, the Chris Chans of the world, but I can look behind that. Is it as robust as Mario Kart's World? I mean, no. You know, you have more characters in Mario Kart World, but again, I don't want to stick with that being I guess, a correlation or a point to talk about, but it is going to be talked about because that's obviously the other big racer on the Switch too. But here's the reason why Sonic Crossworlds works, guys. It understands the core of kart racing, the unpredictability, the creativity, the chaos, the replayability. Mario Kart kind of sticks to this polished consistency, right? They're usually consistent. You played one, you play them all, give or take a little bit of changes here or there. Sonic Racing Crossworlds thrives on controlled disorder, guys. They need tracks that morph mid-race. They need enemies that will change their position instantly when worlds shift. Strategies literally evolve in real time. The game just doesn't ask you to be fast. It's asking you to adapt. And that, more than anything, is why this game has staying power. This game stands on its own. It's different enough to where I think it stands on its own ground, honestly. Now, the Switch 2 performance is a night and day difference from the Switch OG. This is the part that people actually care about, guys. The Switch 2 version runs at 1440p, 60 FPS, and it looks genuinely fantastic like 95% of the time, guys. Yes, you absolutely will notice the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS in a racing game. Reaction times absolutely matter. Visual clarity matters. Cornering timing matters. Anyone telling you otherwise is basically coping at this point, guys. This upgrade for the Switch 2 brings sharper textures. It brings more detailed environments, better animations, clean lighting and water effects, smooth, stable frame rate. The game looks absolutely gorgeous, guys. It looks great. I think they knocked it out of the park with the visuals here. And it finally looks like a modern Sega racing game instead of a Switch 1 compromise where they just made it work, right? Like, oh, it just works. Like a lot of Nintendo Switch fans, they settle for, oh, it just works. Well, Sega knocked it out of the park with this, guys. Is it a one-to-one with the PS5, Xbox, or PC versions? Absolutely not. I guess that would be hard to say without a direct comparison, but from my eye test, it's close enough that you really don't care. It's a Sonic the Hedgehog game. It's for kids, basically. Like, who's really going to sit down and compare this visually, other than between the Switch 1 and 2 version? It's a night and day, honestly. The most important thing to remember of this is that the Switch 2 version finally holds its own. It's actually at least reasonably comparable to the others, guys. And honestly, that's the part that shocked me the most. Okay, because on Switch 2, Sonic Racing Crossworlds finally feels like the game Sega wanted to ship out when it first launched. You know, I had that weird period where the Switch 1 version came out, and then we had to wait like a month or two for the Switch 2 version to come out. The jump is massive. It's not incremental. It's not better in some areas, guys. We're talking fundamentally different hardware level experience. The Switch 2 version, like I said, runs 1440p, 60 FPS. That alone transforms the entire feel of the game between the Switch OG and the Switch 2. Crossworlds is fast, like I said. It's reactive. It has quick turns. There's drifting. There's chaining boosts. There's exchanges, world transitions. And that doesn't feel right at 30 FPS. So at 60 FPS, everything just feels good. It feels good, as Tony would say. And yeah, you absolutely notice a difference. Anyone telling you that the frame rates in the racing game is lying to themselves, like I said. And yeah, I think this is awesome. I'm glad that the upgrade was only $5 because that's a steal, guys. Now, this isn't a bare bones resolution bump, like I said. You can tell Sega went back in from the Switch OG and rebuilt parts of the visual pop line for the Switch 2, which again, you're getting sharper, cleaner textures. The grass, the stone, the metal decals, the track signs, everything has more clarity, more depth. Even character models look less blurry with more defined shading. The foliage, the background objects, particle effects, the world geometry, there's simply more on screen to look at. The game, again, finally feels alive instead of stripped down. The characters move more naturally. The vehicles tilt, drift, react to terrain changes instead of kind of being a little stiff. It's hard to explain, but there's just a visual difference here. And again, like I said, the lighting actually pops. There's dynamic shadows, vibrant colors, water that no longer looks like it's melted plastic. It's not ray traced. There's no ray tracing here, but it's definitely a step up, guys. And as I mentioned, it holds a rock solid frame rate like most of the time. The Switch 2 handles the speed boost, the item chains, all that without coughing, without buffering, without stuttering. Even in high density areas, it still stays pretty consistent. So like I said, since I am kind of circling here, it no longer feels like it's just a Switch port. Okay, it feels like a proper multi-platform release, and that's one thing that I have an issue with a lot of third-party titles on the Switch or Switch 2. It always feels like a degraded, downgraded port that just works. Well, this doesn't. This actually feels like it belongs. And again, is it as good as the PS5 or Xbox? Well, it's close enough that most players won't care. Casuals won't. It's crisp, vibrant, stable, and smooth. Maybe the PS5 and Xbox versions will have slightly higher shadows or more aggressive anti-aliasing, but unless you're freeze framing it and looking at it through real analytical glasses, you're not going to notice, guys. And again, considering the Switch 2 is a hybrid device that you can take on the go, being close to the others as far as like visuals go, that's a pretty huge win. Now, the biggest part that really impressed me here isn't the resolution or the textures, it's the consistency, guys. Crossworlds on Switch 1 was constantly fighting itself. You could feel the hardware struggle. Effects were removed, animations cut corners, particles turned down. The Switch doesn't flinch on that. So this is the first time a Sonic racing game on the Switch has generally kept up with its console counterparts since the GameCube PS2 era. So that means the gameplay finally feels right. And boost windows, again, are easier to hit. The drift feels responsive. Items connect the moment that you press the button. You see corners easier. You judge the distance is better. It's overall improved, guys. Now, let's talk about where this game falls short, because I'm glazing it a little bit. But for everything that Sonic Racing Crossworlds does right on Switch 2, it's not perfect by any means. You know, the upgrade makes a massive difference, but there are a few cracks that still show through the paint. You will get the occasional pop-in, the occasional texture streaming issues. Some tracks, like the Haunted Pumpkin level, still show moments of texture loading or low-res patches popping in. It's not game-breaking, but it is noticeable, guys. The transitions for the Crossroads aren't always smooth as well. The world shift mechanic is awesome, but it's also where the engine works the hardest. You might see mild lighting inconsistencies or tiny stutters, but again, not groundbreaking. And the AI can be weird. You know, they're normal one moment, then they're rubber banding aggressively the next. That happens in most kart racers, believe it or not. Losing cross-world selection control when you're not in first can feel unfair because the NPC in front of you will choose which route you're going to take or which world you'll go to. Gear unlocking can feel grindier than expected, guys. It is a great system, but the pacing for it is slow. The XP leveling up for it can be slow. Casual gamers might feel pushed to grind, and I don't know, when stuff maxes out a little too slow for me, it turns me off a little bit. The character roster gaps here is a little bit I guess strange. Like the Knights character is not available at launch. That's something that has to come as a DLC update. It's not going to be paid DLC. It will be there, but still, it's a mascot racer. It's not a Sega racer. It's a Sonic racer, but I would have liked to see more Sega properties out there. Why isn't Alex Kidd in this? Like Sonic Racing All Stars Transform had a great roster. I would have liked to see that. The presentation still isn't on Mario Kart level, and I know I didn't want to compare it too much, but the menus, the user interface, the sound effects, they're solid, but they're not polished like Nintendo would have for that. Now, Crossworlds isn't broken. It's far from it, guys, but it still has rough edges that future patches or roadmap updates could possibly smooth out. So it was a good attempt. Now, yeah, I didn't want to compare Mario Kart versus this or even Team Sonic Racing, but we know that Mario Kart is the gold standard. The track design, the visual polish, accessibility, the local multiplayer, the item balance, they pick up and play fun, guys. But Mario Kart is also safe. Like I said, a little too safe to a fault, which is why I think Mario Kart World was a little mixed. It plays like Mario Kart, like it always has, guys. Crossworlds is the opposite. It's messier. It's more experimental. It's more chaotic. Most Sonic racing games try to do something different than the previous version, right? I think Crossworlds beats Mario Karts because the tracks are more dynamically laid out, as I should say. There's deeper customization. There's more replay value. It's a grind-focused progression loop. There's cross-platform online. You don't got that. There's mid-race surprises. So, yeah, I mean, Crossworlds stands on its own. I would say. I would say enough of a difference here or there to where it stands on its own. And again, Team Sonic Racing was good, but it was flawed. It had drifting, good speed, but the team mechanics split the fan base. Crossworlds fixes that because there's no forced team gimmick. There's no confusing team item systems. There's cleaner racing. There's more track variety. It has a better roster even with the gaps. Meaningful, robust customization, real progression. Team Sonic Racing felt like Sega was forcing innovation a little bit when Crossworlds feels like Sega finally understands the assignment here, guys. So it simply feels bigger, smarter, more confident than Team Sonic Racing. So here's my final thoughts right here, guys. If you bounced off of Team Sonic Racing or you assumed that Crossworlds was going to be another rushed spin-off, this game might actually surprise you. The Crossworld mechanic gives it a personality that no other racer has right now. The Switch 2 performance upgrade finally lets Sega show what their racing team is capable of on a Switch system. The sheer amount of content pushes it closer to a platform than a throwaway side title, right? Like this is a main title that you should check out. It doesn't dethrone Mario Kart at all, but it doesn't need to. What matters is that Sega and Sonic finally has a racer that stands on its own identity. I would gladly say that. Again, it's fast, it's unpredictable, it's customizable, it's just chaotic enough to keep you hooked, right? So if Sega supports this game long term, this could be the foundation of something big. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there, guys. Let me know your thoughts about Sonic Racing Crossworlds. If you've been playing this, there's surprisingly a lot of people that are into this game. I want to know what you guys think down below. If you've watched this video in entirety and you enjoyed it, hit that like button or that dislike. Fuck it. You should see an option to hype if you're on mobile. It would do me the greatest fucking favor if you guys feel free to hit that hype button and get this out there. That's a new feature YouTube's pushing to push videos out. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. We're on the road to 100,000 subs. I'll see you on the next one.